In Washington, the news cycle doesn't quit. There's been quite a bit of news this week. We know there's a lot going on, but we wanted to fill you in on one big thing you might have missed. I'm Nancy Marshall-Genzer, a Washington correspondent for Marketplace. This week's big thing is a Federal Reserve conference, and it actually wasn't in D.C. It was in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where Fed Chair Jerome Powell made a big speech. Why was this major meeting in Jackson Hole? I can answer that with two words: fly fishing. I actually did a story about this a couple years ago. When this conference first started back in the 1980s, the organizers wanted the Fed chair at the time, Paul Volcker, to go. And guess what? He loved fly fishing. And the fly fishing is great in Jackson Hole. So that's where the conference has been ever since, and the Fed chair usually goes. But I digress. So what happened at Jackson Hole this year, besides fly fishing? Well, Fed Chair Powell dropped a big hint that the Fed will cut interest rates next month, so everybody's focused on that. But we're looking beyond next month at the big picture. Every 5 years, the Fed makes what it calls a framework, a plan for how to deal with interest rates, sort of a roadmap pointing the way to the Fed's mandate, its goal of stable prices and maximum employment. Now, the last framework was from 2020, when persistent low inflation was a problem. Back then, Fed leaders decided that when inflation did rev up again, they would let it run a bit above their 2% target for a while, so it would average out at 2%. But of course, if you've been to the grocery store lately, you know that inflation is now stuck above the Fed's target. So in his big speech, Powell said, now the Fed has a new framework. It's going to stick closer to that 2% target. Now, the rationale here is we do have stubborn inflation now, but nobody knows if we'll see a resurgence of low inflation, so the Fed has to be flexible. And that is one big story you might have missed out of Jackson Hole this week. For more business and economic news, head over to marketplace.org and listen to Make Me Smart wherever you get your podcasts.